It is so uncomfortable and awkward asking friends for help because what if fill in the blank? So in this video, we're talking about how to actually ask friends for help without feeling desperate or needy and getting them to say yes too. Let's go. Welcome back to Accidentally Intentional, where we are on a mission to destroy loneliness by building rich, meaningful friendships. And in this video, we're gonna be covering why we struggle to ask for help, what we're afraid of, what's actually true, how to make the ask, and what to do if someone does reject you when you do ask for help, okay? So starting with why we struggle to ask for help, because it seems to be a unanimous thing. And before I even get into that, I have to tell you the story that inspired this episode. My mom was sharing with me that on Facebook, in a Facebook moms group she's part of, someone was promoting this limo company that does airport pickups. Now, we live about 45 minutes away from our airport. And so I was like, that seemed like it'd be an expensive investment. And the advertisement literally said, don't feel like asking your friends for help. Here's our pickup service. And I was like, that's so sad that we've gotten to this point that we're so afraid of possibly being rejected or making someone feel uncomfortable or inconveniencing someone that we will pay a limo to take us to the airport instead. So we struggle to ask for help because we have this perceived burdensomeness that we hold and carry on ourselves. And maybe it's something about us feeling like we could be seen as weak or inferior, but it's really interesting to kind of sit and think about it, because if someone asks us for help and it's someone we care about, we're never looking at them thinking, oh my God, they're burdening me. What an inconvenience. Or maybe it truly is an inconvenience and you don't care. You still want to do it because you care about the person. So that's one part. I would say another part, especially in America, is the societal conditioning of kind of this glorifying independence that we have. We love doing everything on our own. We don't even need someone to pick us up. We got limos, we got Ubers, Lyfts. We don't even need to go to the store. Why go ask our neighbor for eggs when we could have someone Instacart it for us with no contact and no communication? It's pretty crazy because we're not designed for that. We're created for connections. And if you take it back to ancient times, when we were in tribes, if you got isolated away from people, you would literally die being separated from the tribe. So when we have the option to choose isolation, it's never a good thing. There's this ancient proverb that says, those who isolate themselves seek their own desire. They break out against all sound judgment. So all that to say, I think that's a couple of the reasons why we struggle to ask for help. Because what are we afraid of? We're afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of inconveniencing somebody. And maybe we're afraid of being judged. And if our brains have a job of keeping us safe and keeping us alive, then I would say to some degree, all of those thoughts are valid, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily rational at the same time. So how do we combat that thought or those multiple thoughts that we might be having? Well, let's focus in on rejection because I think the other ones kind of stem from there. Stanford did this iconic study that was done to research rejection, and how they set up the study was measuring someone's perception of how much they thought they'd be rejected versus how much they actually were rejected. It was a pretty long study, so I'll summarize it by just saying this. The results of the study found that people are 1.5 times more likely to accept an invite, than we think they are. So this means this notion of rejection actually scientifically isn't true because we're 1.5 times more likely to be accepted for insert after all. So I think that's pretty powerful because you combine that with the thought process of giving someone something is actually a gift to us. And I'm not talking about like a tangible gift. It could be the gift of generosity. It could be the gift of your time. We like helping people. We want to feel like we're part of something. And being able to help someone, whether it's financially, with the gift of our time, with the gift of our listening ears, you name it, it's actually just as beneficial for the person giving as it is for the person receiving. There's a dopamine and serotonin boost on both sides. In fact, they've even done studies to show people watching the gift of generosity be done creates a dopamine rush even in the people observing it. And so I think that's really cool because it's almost like our bodies have found a way to reward us for putting ourselves into community and finding ways to walk hand in hand with other people, proverbially, of course. But I think it's a really cool thing, and we need to take that seriously because if we know that we're not actually going to be rejected as much as we think, and we know that we like helping people because it does something for us too, then let's throw the lie away that everybody else thinks we're a burden if we ask, we're inconvenient to them, blah, 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 blah. It's simply not true. And another part to this, here's what's actually true. This can be seen as vulnerability, which actually bonds and deepens a friendship. The gift of vulnerability is incredible because you are going first, which in a sense means you're giving someone the gift to go second. So when someone knows how they can come alongside you, a friendship gets so much deeper. Do you know how many times I have heard people say to me that the moment their friendship got so much deeper was the moment someone decided to open up and ask for help? I mean, it's an incredibly powerful bonding agent of sorts. And we don't need to shy away from it. It could actually be an awesome opportunity to create a meaningful connection with somebody else. Can I be honest for a second? I want to get to know you. No, I'm serious because this entire channel is devoted to teaching adults how to build rich, meaningful friendships, and I'm part of that category too. One of the worst parts about podcasting is that all you see is numbers, not names. But you're not a number, you are a name, and you're part of this community, and I want to get to know you. So would you do me the honor of clicking the link below in the description and filling out some basic info about yourself, name, email address, and answer a couple questions so that I can get to know the person behind the screen or behind the earbuds a little bit better? I'm going to be personally emailing every single person back because I want to foster this connection. And along with that, I'm also going to be emailing you my guide to my 15 favorite questions to ask to start a more meaningful conversation. So click that link below. I truly want to get to know you. Thank you so much for being part of this community. You are worth building incredibly rich friendships. Back to the show. We talked about the mindset, why we don't like to do it, blah, blah, blah. So let's actually get tactile. How do we make the ask without feeling desperate when we do need help? Here's what I would say. Be specific straight from the jump. Not, hey, would you be willing to help me with something? ? Send that text, see if they'll say yes before responding with something else. Or, hey, can you do me a favor? And then waiting for them to respond before saying what it is. No, just cut all that and be direct right from the beginning. Hey, would you be able to help me with insert? That's going to be so much better because you are showing right from the beginning that I don't want to waste your time. And I also have the confidence to ask you because I see you as someone who is giving in that way. Along with that, avoid passive or apologetic language because that's almost choosing for them how they should respond. So for instance, you don't want to say, hey, I'm so sorry to ask this, but I have a flight that's at 6 a.m. Do you think, and like totally fine if not, do you think you might be able to take me to the airport or pick me up? First off, that was a whole mess. I'm like, do you want me to or do you not want me to? Like, I'm not sure. I'm confused. Don't apologize. Don't be passive and beat around the bush. Just state exactly what you need. Again, it shows someone that you don't want to waste their time and that you care about them and that you trust them enough to be able to ask them for their help with this thing. Along with that, of course, show incredible gratitude when they commit to it. And of course, after the help that they provide you with is done. And I would say along with that, to state and look for ways to be able to reciprocate the favor to them. Or here's a way that you could end it. You could say something like, this was such a gift for me. I cannot tell you. Thank you so much for the time you just gave me. I know this was not easy. What can I help you with this week? See, I asked something very specific. What can I help you with this week? Maybe like, no, I'm good, man. Well, will you please let me know, because I'm serious. I want to be able to help you in the same way that you just blessed me today. That's totally, because you know what? People take you seriously. And this is different than saying, hey, feel free, whatever you need, whenever. It's very different when there's actually been an act of generosity in some format that's already been done. Generosity meaning someone helping somebody else in any way. I always think it's weird when people say, oh, stop over whenever, or like, oh, feel free to reach out anytime. It's like, well, I don't know when that's gonna be. So if you can put a finiteness to it, like, hey, within the next month, something like that. Just make it as specific as possible so that they know you're serious. And another thing I'll say about this is this has kind of become something that people just say in passing. So your friend might not take you seriously. I'll give you a perfect example. Okay, my neighbors, my lawnmower wasn't working, so I went over to their house and I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on. There's gas in the tank, there's oil in it. Do you think you could check out what's happening with my lawnmower? Comes over, so great, so helpful, fixes it. I said to him afterwards, I said, thank you so much. That helped me immensely, because I would have not been able to figure out what was actually going wrong on my own. And can I just say this, and I'm being serious, I want to be the type of neighbor just like you were. I want to be the neighbor that helps you. So will you please reach out to me the next time that you need help with anything? Even if you don't think you need help, I want to be that person for you, just like you were for me. So would you please give me that gift? Well, guess what happened? We became helpers for each other because they knew how serious I was. So you can also feel free to take that approach, and because you're almost calling it out like, hey, I know people say this, but I genuinely mean it. And then they're like, okay, they genuinely mean it. And anytime someone has said that to me, I have followed up and taken them up on that offer when the time comes in which I need their help. Just remember, in the same way that we think we are a burden to other people, but don't think other people are a burden to us, we have to remind ourselves that the same is true. We are not a burden. Friends who ask for your help are not a burden. It's a great opportunity to, again, deepen a connection. And to be honest, I believe that you are worth building that type of connection and meaningful friendship. So, hey, I hope you found these tips helpful and that you actually have the courage and new tricks and tips to be able to ask for help and be the type of friend that helps others as well. Let's go.